In this week's drive, we take in some 200-mile-an-hour ballet, see a whole lot of sliding going on two wheels as well as four, and watch as the king of the mountain goats keeps his crown. All this and more in this week's Drive. We start this week with new models from one of Europe's most respected car manufacturers. Opel has been making cars in Germany for years, but is now part of the global General Motors Group. Leading the way in the style stakes is the Astra GTC, the marque's three-door hatchback to rival the Volkswagen Golf, Toyota Corolla and Ford Focus. The GTC, or Gran Turismo Compact, differs from its five-door sibling with all-new styling, omits two doors, and gets a host of sportier options and driving aids, while the five-door model is more utilitarian. Interestingly, the new sports hatch, as it will be called in some markets, makes use of all-new sheet metal, sharing no exterior panels with the five-door hatch. The GTC also sits 15mm lower than the five-door and gets a huge range of engine options. Also shown in Geneva was the Astra OPC, the production version of the concept car revealed in Paris late last year.
The OPC line builds on the core strength of our Opel and Vauxhall vehicles to appeal to performance enthusiasts, thus growing the brands and increasing sales. It's a formula that works, but only if the performance experience is authentic. And that certainly describes the Astra OPC.
The OPC is one of the most powerful compact front-wheel drive cars, accelerates from 0 to 100 in less than 7 seconds, and reaches a top speed of more than 240 kilometers an hour. Also standard is IDS, or Interactive Driving System, which works with continuous damping control.
It features a 179 kilowatt, 2-liter turbocharged engine. By the way, that's 240 horsepower. The chassis has been tuned for performance with larger brakes, modified IDS performance for enhanced handling and stability, and massive wheels up to 19 inches. The interior features Recaro seats and special OPT steering wheel, gear shift, and instrument panel graphics. Today, it's my pleasure to introduce the all-new Opel Zafira.
Probably the most significant of all of Opel premieres in Geneva was the new Zafira. With sales of around 200,000 units annually, the Zafira is GM's quiet achiever and is built on the same underfloor architecture as the Astra. Hailed for its innovative Flex 7 seating system, which allows the car to transform from a 7 to a 2-seater or anything in between, the new generation compact MPV is updated throughout. The new range offers a wide variety of petrol and diesel engines, including a sporty OPC version with the same 175 kilowatt turbocharged engine as the Astra, offering a 0 to 100 km/h acceleration in 7.8 seconds for drivers who need the flexibility of an MPV but don't want to sacrifice performance more than necessary. Other features include steering adaptive xenon headlamps, tire pressure monitors, and as many as 30 separate storage compartments. An optional panorama roof system includes 4 individual sunroofs and a long central spine with 5 storage boxes. Other advances in the latest model include improved pedestrian safety and more space for passengers in all 3 rows of seats. However, Opel is having a tough time in a very competitive climate, so company executives have come up with an interesting marketing idea to get potential buyers to try out all the new and existing Opel models.
You may have noticed this week some outdoor advertisements in place throughout Geneva. These ads have headlines such as, "Admire me," "Challenge me," or this morning I saw, "Tame me." I'm here to add a little explanation for these.
You have 3 days to push it, pamper it, challenge it, tame it, caress it, torture it, tear it down, fly it, undress it, Admire it. Press it. But please don't forget to bring it back.
We're calling it the Million Mile Test Drive, and we'll begin the program with Opel and Vauxhall. Our dealers in 40 countries across Europe will have a total of 35,000 test vehicles at their disposal. Customers can choose from the entire model lineup. They will be offered a car for 3 days.
Another GM brand is Saab from Sweden, and they revealed a new hatchback too.
The all-new Saab 9.3 Sport Combi represents Saab's first foray into this growing and competitive segment. With its combination of performance, versatility, and unique Saab character, we expect the Saab 9.3 Sport Combi to establish a strong presence in Europe's premium mid-size wagon segment.
The Sport Combi is the third variant of the 9.3. It's based on the Sport Hatch concept shown at the 2003 Frankfurt show and is a nod to the 99 Combi Coupe hatchback introduced in 1973. Like its sedan and convertible siblings, the Sport Combi will be offered with a new turbocharged six-cylinder engine next year. The 2.8-litre V6 will offer 250 horsepower, combined with a 6-speed manual or 6-speed automatic transmission. In all 9.3s, the front wheels do the driving. The engine is a part of GM's new 24-valve double-overhead cam V6 engine family, also seen in the Cadillac STS and SRX, and some Australian Holdens. The 2.8-litre turbo is a Saab exclusive, however, with unique parts such as the cylinder heads, valves, pistons and camshafts. The Sport Combi will battle the Volvo V50, Jaguar X-Type, Volkswagen Passat, Audi A4, BMW 3 Series and Mercedes C-Class in the premium small wagon market. The Indy Racing League round at the Phoenix International Raceway got off to a clean start and was run without any major incidents, although a few drivers suffered individual mishaps. On lap 12, Indy 500 winner Buddy Rice did a half spin in turn 2 and hit the barrier, but managed to climb from the car without any help from the safety team. Dr. Henry Bock, Director of Medical Services, checked Rice at the track hospital and declared him fit to drive. A photo finish seemed likely as Dario Franchitti, part of the powerful four-car Andretti Green racing team, sat in second place behind Sam Hornish. But Thomas Scheckter bounced off the wall and brought out the final caution flag on lap 193. As the drivers prepared for the restart, Hornish anticipated Franchitti's move. With a narrow lead after the last of 4 caution flags in the 200-lap event, the Scotsman tried an outside move on the restart on lap 199 and scraped the concrete wall. Hornish raced on to his 13th career victory, following his runner-up spot 2 weeks previously in Miami. Thus, Hornish returned to victory lane for the first time in over a year and also moved to the top of the Indy Racing League's point standings. The 2-time IRL champion beat Team Penske teammate Helio Castroneves by a slim margin of just over 1 second. Tony Kanaan finished 3rd, his 17th consecutive top 5 finish and the 18th top 10 finish dating back to the 2004 season opener at Homestead. Both are series records. To NASCAR now, where spectators jammed the stands in Atlanta. There was only one major accident in this race, and it took place on the very first lap. Casey Mears in car 41 appeared to get loose and spun, starting a chain reaction of crashes that would involve 10 cars. It's also possible that Mears may have been tapped from behind by Scott Riggs. That set off a wild melee that took out 4-time Cup champion Jeff Gordon and 6-time Atlanta winner Bobby Labonte. The race was halted for nearly 10 minutes while track staff cleaned up the mess. Defending champion Kurt Busch lost his right front tyre and hit the wall, bringing out the 4th caution of the day. He would rejoin 20 laps down.
Top 17. His average finish here.
With 31 laps left, Robbie Gordon blew up his engine to bring out the 8th caution. He hasn't finished any of the 4 races in 2005. Carl Edwards chased leader Jimmy Johnson, who was trying to win for the 2nd week in a row. He grabbed the lead from Edwards with 25 laps to go.
He's got the momentum.
They clashed twice before Edwards edged ahead of Johnson to claim victory by just 0.02 of a second for his first ever NASCAR win.
He may have been a lot better off, but he moved up trying to block Carl, and I think it really hurt him.
Johnson assumed the series points lead with his second-place finish, though, and holds an 82-point lead at the top of the standings.
Look at Jack. He's up there.
Car safety systems are developed using sophisticated crash test dummies, but researchers want to learn more about the risks to pregnant women in car crashes. So Volvo has developed a computer model of a pregnant crash dummy called Linda.
Her purposes for us are, number one, to understand what happens to a pregnant woman and her baby during a crash and how they both interact with the safety systems in the car during a crash. So far, Linda has been used to test the correct placement recommendations of the seatbelt, and the results have shown us that recommendations are best. Additionally, our hope is that in the future, Linda, or models like Linda, will be used for setting the world's first safety requirements for the development of future cars.
Many pregnant women wonder whether the safety belt could harm their unborn baby if they were involved in a car crash. However, all researchers agree on recommending that they should always wear their safety belt.
Well, I think the most important thing to remember is that we know so little about what happens to pregnant women in car accidents. The information that is available today comes mainly from the United States, and there are indications that more women actually die in traffic accidents than during complications associated with pregnancy in hospitals. So this is obviously something that is important for us to study closer.
Car crashes potentially can pose a danger to the baby at all stages of pregnancy. It's extremely important that the mother protect herself in the best way with the seatbelt, for example, because her safety is the first imperative for the babies.
Linda is a finite element method computer model. Her lower torso, abdomen and upper thigh areas represent the human body with human-like tissue, and even includes a virtual 36-week-old baby called Kira.
It's very important that the belt always lay over the shoulder and between the breasts and to the side of the pregnant belly. And very, very important also is that the lap belt is as low as possible under the belly and laying over the pelvic bones.
The computer model makes it possible to study in great detail how the belt moves, the influence of belt, airbag and steering wheel on the mother and baby, and how the baby moves in relation to the mother's body. The model can also be used to test new designs for safety belts and other safety systems. The researchers are finding out more and more about the risks of crashing while pregnant.
Well, first of all, we'd like to find out how common it is in our own country of Sweden, but also we would like to find out which injuries the pregnant women sustain during car accidents. The information available at the moment indicates that it is mostly to do with placenta loosening during the trauma of a traffic accident, and also premature contractions, which can lead to the baby being delivered too early.
The 16-year-old driver of this car didn't even have a license, but she was driving two friends last month when she lost control, and one passenger died. All over the world, teenage drivers often take chances behind the wheel, and now medical science may help explain why. Researchers studying the brain say the last section of the brain to mature, the frontal lobes, are not fully developed until the age of 25 or beyond.
The frontal lobes are sort of the executive center of the brain, the part of the brain that's responsible for planning, organizing, anticipating the consequences of one's actions.
In some countries, the research was cited by those pushing to ban mobile phone use by drivers or limiting the number of passengers riding with a teenage driver.
The studies point to the fact that teens are taking the highest risks because in some respects their brains don't know any better.
At Temple University, researchers using a video game found the number of risky decisions made by teenage drivers tripled when their friends were present. In the real world, for young drivers, the risk of a crash doubles with just one extra passenger.
Interestingly, the teenagers didn't take more risks when they were by themselves. It was only when they were in the presence of other kids.
Parents can lessen the risks by investing in extra behind-the-wheel driver education and a safe car. Scenes like this remain any parent's worst nightmare, but common sense and medical science might cut the death toll. Reigning champion Sheikh Khalid Al-Qasimi and Craig Parry led off the ramp for the third round. Nasser Salih Al-Attiyah of Qatar, who was champion in 2003 and runner-up last year, and his co-driver Chris Patterson from Northern Ireland were next off the ramp in their Subaru Impreza. The third Subaru of Omani driver Hamad Al-Wahibi and David Senior of Great Britain was the next to go. Al-Wahibi, the highest-rated local driver, set the early pace and led the event by 9 seconds after 3 stages, but was forced to retire on the 4th stage with suspension failure. Al-Attiyah, the second-seeded Qatari who was in second place early in the rally, moved into the lead after Al-Wahibi retired. Al-Attiyah and Patterson recorded the fastest times on the 4th and 5th stages to maintain their lead, and at one point extended their lead to 2 minutes and 21 seconds. Overheating problems forced the 2004 champ to slow down towards the end of the first leg, but they still completed the first leg of the rally with a lead of just over 2 minutes. UAE driver Sheikh Sulal bin Khalifa Al Maktoum and Ahmed Ghaziri, who were third in the event last year, set the fastest time in the last 2 stages of the first leg, but a 1-minute time penalty dropped them to third. Al-Attiyah had a few problems with his Subaru Impreza. He still led the event despite losing 1 cylinder. Al-Qasimi took a 30-second chunk out of Al-Attiyah's lead in the 12th stage, but only a 21-kilometre stage and the 2.6-kilometre super special remained to overturn a 90-second deficit. It wasn't enough, and Al-Attiyah beat his rival by 4 seconds. The runner-up position was only settled in the final spectator test when Al-Qasimi confirmed second overall by a mere 1 second. Abdallah Al-Qasimi overcame late suspension problems to take 4th place. The next round of the Middle East Rally Championship will be the Qatar Rally. After an intense morning of pre-season testing at Catalunya, the pressure was off, at least for a short time, as the MotoGP riders grouped together for the traditional class photo shoot. It gives press and fans the chance to see some old faces in new leathers, most notably Max Biaggi in Repsol Honda colours, Colin Edwards now riding for Yamaha, and Carlos Checa switching to Ducati. Aside from trying out their new machines, the afternoon offered riders a tangible reward too. Effectively, the first competition of the season, the 40-minute session saw the first round of the best qualifier of the year, with the BMW 1 Series on offer for the fastest rider. Local hero Sete Gibernau took the honours, setting a new lap record. Multiple world champ Valentino Rossi was second fastest on the day, 0.3 of a second off the pace, but the Italian will certainly improve. He has the talented Edwards as teammate on a similar bike this year, and between them they're bound to develop the machinery. Nicky Hayden looked good as 4 riders made their MotoGP debuts. Tony Elias, Roberto Rolfo, James Ellison and Franco Battagni are all new to the sport's blue ribbon category. They follow 250 champ Marco Melandri on bike 33, who made the step up a year ago. As for Max Biaggi, he'd been the fastest man on 2 wheels over the opening 2 days, but saw his old lap record swept away and the BMW slipped from his clutches.
We were not looking for the car specifically. We were looking first to do a good work during the weekend, and everything came good. We did a good endurance, and then we just put some tires, and the time was there. So I'm satisfied how things are going, and I need to thank HRC and Michelin for the great job, and especially my team, my side of the team is they're doing an unbelievable job. So it's thanks to them.
It's all smiles now, but that will surely change at the season opening round in Jerez. The 10th round of the Indoor World Trials Series took the teams to the Luna Park Arena in Buenos Aires, where after the qualification round it became clear that Adam Raga would end the day as world champion for the third successive year. Despite having picked up an unusually high score of 23 on the first lap, Raga was effectively handed the title when Albert Capistani, the only other rider with a mathematical chance of winning the championship going into the event, failed to make it past the qualification lap. Raga was joined by youngster Hironi Fajardo and Takahisa Fujinami in the final, with Fajardo in first place after losing 19 points, closely followed by Montesa-mounted Takahisa Fujinami on 20. Some of the tougher zones were modified for the final, but the emotion continued, with Fajardo and Raga battling for victory as Fujinami's challenge fell away. Raga's second 5 of the final came in the last time section, setting up an intense dual lane race in high jump, where the world champion produced an impeccable effort to lose only 17 points and close to within 2 points of his young compatriot. Fajardo's last round was a tense one, and the youngster took victory by a solitary point, losing only 16 points for his first ever series victory. He now jumps ahead of Dougie Lamkin into third place in the overall series standings, behind second place Capistani, with just 2 rounds left to go. Fujinami finished the event in third on 24 marks for another podium finish and 5th place overall. The next round of the Indoor World Trials Championship will see the world's top riders make their way towards Belfast for its first ever World Indoor Trials event, where Fajardo, Lamkin and Fujinami will battle it out for third place. After winning his 4th European Tour title, English golfer Paul Casey put his success partly down to a new driver, and he had the chance to do some driving of a very different sort. Already established as one of the best drivers on the golf circuit, Casey had the chance to prove it behind the wheel of a Formula 3000 car capable of more than 150 miles an hour. In his first competitive outing outside his US base this year, the 27-year-old defeated fellow Ryder Cup player Paul McGinley on the second hole of a playoff at the TCL Classic in China. And Paul took to the track at Vallelunga in Italy. Obviously enjoyed it.
It's fantastic. It's a giant go-kart with a lot more horsepower, about 500 horsepower, so it's a little bit more scary. But today's been great. I mean, it's you know, we're flying down the straights and starting to pull some G's in the corner and just getting some nice flowing laps going together. You know, it's a fairly easy car to drive, and it's just got I've got a big smile on my face whenever I go around any of these corners around here. It's absolutely fantastic.
The win in China represented his first success in an injury-interrupted year. He's disappointed in golf tournaments on the American PGA Tour, where he's been heckled by crowds for anti-American comments made in relation to the Ryder Cup. But the Englishman now seems to be on the way to overcoming the problem caused by those remarks, which he claimed were misquoted.
You know, I've never had an issue with US crowds whatsoever. You know, it may be sort of twisted in the papers to look like I do, and unfortunately maybe some people will come along to sort of think that I don't like them or something like that, and that's just not the truth. You know, if that was the case, I wouldn't still be playing in the States. I wouldn't still be living in the States and have an American girlfriend. I love it over there, I really do.
Given his ability on the track, the Englishman is clearly something of a multi-talented sportsman. So perhaps if it doesn't quite work out on the golf course, a career in motorsport might even beckon. So, whether you're a would-be astronaut, heading for an early shower, or just seeing the sights of the desert, so you stay on track and up to speed, make sure you catch next week's Drive.